Hey everybody. Wanted to show off something that I'm working on lately, and basically it's a mobile kind of app game thing where you can have a TTRPG tabletop anywhere you need it. Your dice as well, all right on your phone or tablet. So this is very early prototype stages, but a lot of the base functionality is implemented, so I figure I'd walk through, talk about that, show what's kind of going on. So we have our menu, which can be accessed by clicking on the menu button, and each of our different submenus. Uh, and actually, I'll walk through each of them at one at a time. So we have our dice roller. Anyone who's played a tabletop role-playing game knows you need dice in order to roll for most things. And right now, it's just simple functionality of just clicking on it, and it'll add to the amount of that specific die that could be rolled. This functionality is going to change a lot. I'm thinking more of a plus minus button for each die with an indicator of how many of that specific die. I'm also thinking of a like clear button as well too, in case you want to just clear all in once instead of having the plus minus. But if you hit the roll button, it'll tell you your full result. And this is also very early nitty gritty as well. The hopeful end result would be to list at least as much of the different dies as possible and what they each rolled, and then show the total result at the end of that. So that's basically the dice roller. So we head back. Another thing that's important for most TTRPGs is knowing when you're going in combat. And a lot of this right now is also from the DM role perspective. The hope is to also generate, the next steps is to create player roles, and that'll be for more streamlined functionality. Like the dice roller will probably be the same, period, but the initiative might change where a player may only be able to add their initiative and remove their initiative from the tracker. So with that, let's see. Let's add some monsters here. Let's add an NPC, and then say you have control of players from the DM side, then you would hit the player button. And then all of this is out of whack. This is not telling us who goes when, so sort it. After sorting it, we can see what player goes when. So player at the top usually is first in turn order. So then you just go player next, and then it'll go next, and then it'll go to next one on the initiative list. But say you made a mistake and you overshot someone, well, you can go previous, goes back to the previous player. So the next steps is to get rid of a lot of these buttons for the player. The player would just have add initiative and then the ability to remove their initiative from the same tracker. Obviously, the DM has the ability to remove everyone, and they won't be able to sort either. So a lot of these buttons will be not missing, but they won't be there for what the player sees or their view of the tracker. So that's that for initiative tracking. So that's how we keep things in order, everybody. Now, this is specifically for a dungeon master, game master, anyone running the game. We have settings, and this is probably my favorite thing that I've implemented, which is the ability to switch the background and setting of the room area. So now we're located in a forest, but if you don't want to do a forest, we also have a tavern. So tavern, and you can see one of the seats like over on the left side here. But eventually camera controls for moving around may be implemented. Maybe when a user moves their mobile device, it'll allow them to kind of like rotate around the room if they want it that way, or just simple buttons on the sides of the screen where they can kind of rotate around and look around. Maybe even change a view camera. So if you want to see certain different angles, different camera settings can be used for that. And even for the Dungeon Master, that could even involve swapping to, or not swapping, but going into one of your players' chair so you can see what they see. So making sure you see it from all angles. And then the last, also, almost forgot about this, the ability to turn on and off lights. That's important because maybe you want not this lighting. Another add-on to this could potentially be changing the colors of the lights. Changing specific lights to be on and off or go around in certain ways, maybe even strobing and adding certain flicker animations. These are things that can be added, changed, and updated as this is built out further, basically. And then might even want the ability to change the background color. You may want a specific vibe. Right now it's just a very dark, generic, brownish, maroonish color. But you may want blue skies, or you may want, for the cave, it to be dark. Or you may want something more of a like cloudy feel for a forest, so you may want to change to like a grayish color. So those are fun features that I'll add next, but it'll give the pretty much whoever's running the game the ability to turn the game into a setting that fits the mood of how they're playing. And last and not least is a camera overview of the battle map. This is very, very early on. It really is just an overhead view of camera of the battle map. But the potential is that when a game master loads in a map of a specific type, or just puts a generic battle map for people, they'll be able to move like whatever tokens they control on there. Player can control whatever token they have. So that's thoughts for that. But this is gonna basically be the place where anyone can see the battle map if they don't want to look at it just from their camera view. But the other potential is if I add other camera angles, this may not be as necessary, because if you switch to overhead of the table, you'll have the ability to select your token and then move them around, or so on and so forth. So that's the gist of what's been built. And I've also added the ability for the Dungeon Master at least to click on world items, and it'll actually open those specific menus, like our little dice tray here, our full map attached there, sticky notes for that, and then the light switch for your settings. The hope is to build this out more for mobile. That'll include local like network connections, so everyone with a phone can connect to each other right there and play. Who knows, thoughts could be eventually building that out further to actually have online capabilities. But yeah, it's just so people can have the fun of tabletop role-playing games or anything else that uses dice right there with them anytime on their phones. So hope everyone enjoyed seeing some of the fun kind of prototypes I'm always working on during my time building out. And if you like, just like the video below, and hope everyone enjoyed. Thanks.